During my senior year of high school, my friend Melissa wanted to go on a double date for Valentine's Day. I usually never try to find a date on Valentine's Day since 9 times out of 10, my dates would try to find their way in hopes they can get laid, when I just want something casual and friendly, nothing romantic. So, 3 days before Valentine's Day, Melissa texted me asking if I could go on a double date with her. I would end up being with her date's cousin, a guy named Ron. She sends me a picture of him so I can see who I'll be on a date with. I won't lie, he was actually really hot, but from the selfies she sent me, he kinda came across looking like a total douche. Still, can't judge him based on his selfies. I really didn't want to do it, but Melissa had done a lot for me during our 5 years of being friends, so going on this date that would last for a few hours shouldn't be a big deal. I agreed, and so she gives me his number to text him, and told me it's best to get to know each other now for a bit so we don't feel awkward on the day of our date. Alright, no biggie. I texted him, and within a few minutes he texts back and we start to have a conversation. He seemed to have a huge passion for cooking, something I love as well, so he starts to catch my interest. However, he's a really boring texter as most of his replies were 5 words or less, while I'm over here texting paragraphs. We've been texting here and there for the next 2 days, but I noticed he would text me every few minutes that I didn't respond. If I don't respond within 5 to 10 minutes, he would send another text changing up the conversation, hoping that would make me respond faster. In one instance, he starts asking me why I'm responding slow. It's like he forgets I have a life. I can't text back fast every single time you hit send. Plus, we never even met and he's not even my boyfriend. Whatever, I deal with this behavior for one more day. I'm turned off a little, but I want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. We planned our date to meet up downtown in a nice restaurant at night. Melissa was the only one who had a car, so she picked me up and then drove to pick up our dates. I was in the backseat with Ron, while Melissa's date Jason was in the passenger seat. We make it to our destination, and it was okay. Jason and Melissa seemed to be having more fun than I was with Ron. Ron wouldn't let me speak, and when I tried to make a comment to the stories he would tell me, he would get upset for interrupting him. I would constantly sit there and just stare at my food as he kept talking. Then he whispers to me,
"Hey, are you ignoring me? Are you really not listening to me?"
He's asking me this as he gives me this death stare like I just committed a crime. I told him, "Yes, I am paying attention to you. I'm just getting tired. It's been a long day for me." He seemed very unhappy with my answer. I don't know what he was expecting me to say, but he definitely wasn't happy with my response. He says it's okay, he had a long day as well. We continue on with our date and we think it's a good time to get going and call it a night. As we all start to head out to Melissa's car, Ron tries to grab my hand and I gently move my hand back and gave him a look and mouthed the words, "No." We're in the car now and we're all seated in the same place as before. And again, Ron tries to go for my hand and this time I moved my hand back aggressively and said "no" out loud. It made Jason look back at me and Ron. He showed concern but then turns his head back. We drop them off and I sit in the front seat. Melissa could tell that I was very unhappy with tonight. I let out a big sigh and put my hands on my face. I tell her Ron wasn't creepy, but he really was pushy, which made me uncomfortable. 1 hour after Melissa drops me off, Ron texts me and asks if I'll be willing to go on another date with him next weekend. I told him no and threw my phone onto my bed while I sat down and started to work on my art. I'd say maybe about 45 minutes go by and I'm getting a bit tired. It's almost midnight or 1 a.m. I can't remember. I went to go grab my phone to charge it. As I plugged it in, my phone lights up indicating that it's charging and I saw that Ron has texted me 53 times with 8 missed calls by him. A lot of the texts just kept saying,
"Hey, where are you? You text slow. Am I not good enough for you?"
It just went on and on. I did what anybody else would do and blocked them. I didn't even care anymore. I just went to bed and that's that. I woke up the next day and I woke up to 2 text messages coming from 2 different numbers. It was Ron. He was texting me, asking if I blocked him and to please answer him within 24 hours. What? What's going to happen if I don't? It's already been 3 hours from when he texted me this. I sent the screenshots of all the messages and missed calls to Melissa, telling her that this guy is starting to harass me. She responds saying that she would talk to Jason about him and see what he could do. I'm freaking out a little at this point, but I really don't want this to escalate even more. I did text Ron back politely to never text me again. This seemed to anger him. He responded within seconds saying he loves me and that he really wants to spend the rest of his life with me. I realized the more I talk to this guy, my anxiety starts to go up. So I blocked him and hoped Melissa and Jason would take care of it. Melissa texted me back that Jason talked to Ron and that he apologized. He said that Ron would finally leave me alone. This kinda ruined Valentine's Day for me, but I hope Ron matured and grew out of whatever creepy phase he had. It's been 2 years now and I moved to a new state for college. I still get anxious whenever I get a text from an unknown number thinking it's him again. For context, I'm a guy, 21, and in my 3rd year at university. The spring semester just started, and in my psychology class was this really pretty girl. Her name was Amy. She was blonde, wore glasses, and nicely built. I'll say this now, I'm someone that would consider themselves good looking, but nothing too extreme. I don't like to get cocky or anything. I liked how I look and was confident within myself. We've talked here and there as we sat next to each other, and whenever there were those quick assignments where you partner up with the person next to you, we would use that time to get to know each other rather than talking about the subject. This helped me find out that she was single. With Valentine's Day being a week away, one morning, I walk into class, sit down, and ask Amy if she wants to go on a date for Valentine's Day. She looked very surprised with joy and said that she was about to ask me the same thing. I was obviously so excited that I was about to go on a date with someone who I considered the hottest girl in my school. The date was set on a Sunday night at the sushi place near our school. The day comes up, I show up and I'm waiting outside. I'm a bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel good as I'm wearing my lucky suit. I stand outside for maybe about 5 minutes when she finally texts me that she's here. I look around and I see her. Holy shit, she looked amazing in the dress that she was wearing. She looked like Velma in the first Scooby-Doo movie, which if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. We compliment each other, and before going in, she starts to look around as if she's looking for something or someone. I ask, "Are you going to come in?" She turns back around and says, "Oh, yeah, sorry." We sit down and order our food. While trying to talk to her, I catch her constantly looking outside the window. I kept trying to ignore and think that it's her being shy, but I couldn't tell. She didn't look bored or upset, she just kept looking out the window as if she's expecting something to come up. Not only that, but she would constantly check on her phone. By the way, this sushi place is pretty small and we're sitting at a table that's right next to the window where people walking by can see us clear as day. I felt like I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I don't look as good as I thought I did. Maybe I said something wrong. How did this girl get all excited to go on a date with me and then act like this? It all really beat me down. It made me lose all the confidence I had. Minutes go by and we're finally eating our food when someone comes in. He was this tall guy, completely ripped, wearing a sleeveless shirt, black jeans with chains on the side, and boots with spikes on it. This guy was easily over 6 feet. He looks around and locks his eyes onto us. Amy doesn't look too surprised and I'm over here completely shaken up from his stare. He was looking at me like he was ready to kill me. He comes over to our table and yells at Amy,
"Who the fuck is this guy? This is who you're going to choose over me?"
I'm lost. I say, "Excuse me, but what the fuck is going on?" This guy tells me to shut up and looks back at Amy. She says, "Listen, Kyle, he's my new boyfriend, so back off. He treats me way better than you ever had." I yell out "what" so loud. I'm over here looking around checking if anyone is holding a camera. I really thought this was one of those stupid pranks you would see all over YouTube. There is no way this was actually happening. But it was. This Kyle dude is grabbing me by the shirt now and drags me to go outside and tells me to stay as far away from his lady as he puts a pocket knife to my neck. It was so close that I felt even the slightest movement would cut through my skin. I told him that I was sorry and that I didn't know. He lets me go. I see Amy behind him just smiling at me. That smile didn't seem so innocent either. I now realize that she wanted this to happen. She was looking at her phone because she was texting him and was waiting for him to arrive. She fucking planned all of this to happen. I looked at Kyle in fear and told him that I was sorry, it won't happen again. I put my hand up to shake his hand and to have some sort of peace with this guy. This guy was clearly insane and was not afraid to hurt me. He looks at my hand and then just punches me, which caused me to drop on the floor. As I'm on the ground, I can hear the employees start coming out, yelling at Kyle and that they're calling the police. The same employee helps me get back on my feet. Kyle and Amy both leave together in his black Mustang. If you're wondering if there were any people in the street that saw any of this, there were. There was a lot of people actually. But if you live in a big city, people tend to ignore this sort of stuff as it's pretty common. They just keep walking and act like nothing is going on. I know it sounds really messed up, but that's the reality of it. I had a bruise on my forehead where Kyle punched me. One of the employees were nice enough to give me an ice pack to take with me to help with the swelling. They even told me they won't charge me for the food either. I thanked them, and when the police arrived, I gave a statement about what happened. They never updated me whether Kyle was charged or if they did anything about it. Really, cases like this get ignored because they're more focused on the bigger stuff. As I mentioned before, stuff like this is very common, so they get brushed off most of the time, so I didn't expect any good to come out of it. I make it back to my apartment where my two roommates start freaking out, but I told them I was okay. I explained to them what happened and they took care of me for a day until I had to go back to school 2 days later where I'd see Amy again. But this time, she's seated in the far back. She didn't look at me and we never spoke again the entire semester. Though, the only scary thing that happened after that was one night after I got out of my night class, I was walking to the parking lot to go to my car. At this point, the parking lot is almost empty, but there's still a few cars. I saw one car from a distance with their lights on. It was the same black Mustang that I could see Kyle and Amy got in that night. I could see Kyle stare at me, and I could tell that there was someone next to him, which I guess must have been Amy in the passenger seat. I didn't want to be this big badass and go up to him. I just walked to my car and drove off. I never tell anyone about this incident because even to me it sounds bizarre, but it happened. And I feel comfortable sharing it online as I won't get called a liar to my face. Kyle, Amy, you two are demons that deserve each other. This one is fairly short, but it was a night that I would never forget personally. It was the night of Valentine's Day. I was living with my fiance in a small apartment in a gated area. My fiance was a very busy person, working 10-hour shifts at a warehouse and would rarely be home during the day. But he made good money, so it was worth it for him. With him being gone a lot, he couldn't take a day off today, and his boss promised to pay him 50 cents more if he worked on Valentine's Day. With that being said, it didn't bother me that he was gone all day. At least he was going to be home at night, so we could have some time together. So it's around 8 p.m. and my fiance will arrive in about a little over an hour. And there's this small flower shop that had a sale going on for the holiday. I knew the owner of the store very well. It belonged to this sweet old lady that I just loved and adored. I always buy flowers from her to decorate our apartment. It was a 5-minute walk from where I live, so I grabbed my coat as it was cold and walked to the little flower shop. As I'm walking on the street where the store is located on, I noticed a guy standing next to a light pole staring straight ahead. I walked past him, and before walking inside the store, I just had this urge to turn my head and look at him. I see that this guy has his head turned staring right at me. I couldn't really see his face because the shadow of his hoodie blocked the light from hitting his face. Alright, just another weirdo, I guess. I walk in and greet the old sweet lady and bought what I wanted. I walk out and go on my way back to my apartment. I see that the hooded guy wasn't there anymore. I kind of felt relieved over that. As I'm walking, I'm already more than halfway to the front gate to our apartment building. Then, I start to hear footsteps behind me. They're light footsteps, and I was too scared to turn around. I start to speed walk. As I do, I can hear the footsteps getting faster and louder. I didn't see anyone walking outside, so I know it's only one person and that this person is following me. I didn't bother looking back, I just knew to run. My heart was beating so fast and was super focused on running and not losing my balance. I make it to the front gate of my apartment and quickly unlocked it by typing the code on the doorknob and slammed it shut once I got through. As I slammed it shut, I look up and see that the guy who was chasing me was now looking at me, and it was the same guy I saw earlier near the flower shop because I recognized the hoodie. He was wearing a ski mask and I can only see his eyes. He looked angry and I froze. He then turns around and disappears in the dark. I walk back inside the house and I didn't tell my fiance what happened. I just wanted to have a good night and forget what happened. I'm glad I listened to my gut and ran as fast as I could. Who knows what would have happened had that guy grabbed me.